What's up, guys? I am here with the 2023 BMW M1000RR Comp. Our shop bike is getting unlocked today. I'm super excited. I couldn't even ride it up to Long Beach because it's not a thrill to ride with it restricted. I mean, as soon as the power comes on, that's when the limiter kicks in. I'm getting my cheeks clapped by R6s. Sick of it now. So woke up early this morning, got the bike loaded up on the truck, and we are taking it up to Long Beach BMW Motorcycles. I'll be talking to Jeff Whitmer. He is the service manager up there. And we're going to go over some basic first service things, like what BMW likes to see as far as mileage goes, how it affects warranty if you do it yourself, things like that. So we'll go over some important things, but the most important thing is getting this thing uncorked so I can start throwing parts at it. So let me get up there and we'll go over it from there. We're all unpacked here. Just got the bike unloaded. Then we're gonna take it down to the shop there. Talk to Jeff, get this thing unlocked, finally. Got cool bikes in here. What's up? Oh, they got my old bike right there. If anyone wants to buy it here at Long Beach BMW. We got a bunch of cool stuff here though. Another S1000, R18. Pretty cool center here. So let's see if Jeff's around. What's up, guys? What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
Good to see you.
We're here in the belly of the beast. Look at all these bikes I got. Wild. Check this one out. This is the first bike we had. 2010 S1000RR, and then here's our latest. The 23 M1000. Friend's old bike with a stretch. This is the first bike we got from 2010. First BMW we got. This is what started everything right here. It's got some electrical gremlins in it right now, but it does have a stroker motor, and as soon as that's sorted out, we're gonna get this thing out on the road and do some crazy testing with her. This bike is wild right here. Justin's name. All right, while they're here handling my bike, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to Jeff, and we'll do some Q&A. All right, I'm here with Jeff Whitmer. He's the service manager here at BMW Long Beach, and we want to go over some questions with him regarding the first service that BMW conducts on the motorcycles. And Jeff, first and foremost, why does BMW do an unlock for these bikes in the first place? I know some BMWs don't require an RPM unlock. Why do the S1000s, M1000s, the higher performance bikes do?
I think BMW just wants to ensure that a proper break-in is done to the motorcycle. Give it a chance for, the rings to seat, the bearings to kind of run in. Give the engine a chance to kind of loosen up a little bit.
Okay. And as far as the mileage goes on the bike, there's always been speculation, it has to be 800, it has to be 600, it has to be 500. What is the actual BMW's limit for the lowest? And what's BMW's limit for the most mileage on a bike?
So the low end is 320 as a bare minimum.
Okay.
The upper end, there really is no written policy. General practices, 1,000 miles.
Okay, did they change it from 600 at one point, or they changed the mileage? Because there's always this...
The interval is 600 miles, or 1,000 kilometers. 623 miles or 1,000 kilometers is the actual interval. A little under, a little over, you're fine. I recommend trying to get the whole 600 miles on it, because that gives it a chance to break in. 350, 400, you've met the minimum requirement. But do we really know that the engine's broken in at that point?
Right. And that's the minimum requirement that BMW considers to retain the warranty, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if I were to go home and go like, you know what, we hear this all the time. I'm 5 hours from a dealer. I got my motorcycle there, but I need to unlock it. I don't want to drive back there. I have a GS tool. I can unlock it myself at the desired mileage. Let's say it's 500 miles.
Correct.
I know the ECU is going to store the data, so I can unlock it myself. Why can't I?
There's no reason why you can't. If you're going to self-perform your initial service on the bike, make sure you use BMW parts, keep receipts, and keep a little logbook. On this date, at this mileage, I did these items and then reset and unlock my motorcycle with my GS 911. If you bring the bike to me sometime thereafter and it has a catastrophic failure, the very first thing BMW is going to ask me to do is plug the bike in and do a data read. From there, they're going to be able to tell when the bike was unlocked and the RPMs and quite a bit of information that I can't see, but they can. You can't see, but they can. You know it, they know it. The next thing they're going to ask me for are your maintenance records. If you self-perform and you do, as I just mentioned, and provide me with that information to relay to them, you're covered as far as performing your own maintenance. If you use aftermarket parts or you don't keep an event log of what you did, then it's room opening a door for them to deny it based on improper parts, not non-certified parts for the bike. So it opens the door to allow them to deny a claim based on those items.
I know a lot of people like to say, oh, well, what's the best oil filter? Me, myself, and us, we always get the OEM filter, OEM crush washer, do every single service just like that. Doesn't matter how many changes. Change the oil, always change the filter with an OEM filter. There are people that sit there and go, oh, I'm going to use a Fram filter or something like that. Is there any benefit to the BMW oil filter versus another performance oil filter per se?
My opinion, and I'm a track guy, so I have to use OEM parts. Most of the racing groups that I run with, you are required to run an OEM filter. Aside from that, that filter is designed for your motorcycle, not it's close enough to work on this bike, it's close enough to work on that bike, so it might fit 10 different models instead of specifically your bike. Is it really worth a $3 or $4 savings to risk not being able to have your bike covered for a warranty issue?
Yeah, I know on our bikes at least, the M1000 that we have right there in service right now, we're going to be using the factory oil that you guys recommend, the filter. I'm not providing anything. This is how the bike is always going to be, and I always take it to you for services.
Correct. My race bike, Advantech, BMW oil, BMW filters. Everything that I put on that bike is BMW parts.
And I think the common misconception with oil changes is not the exact frequency of it, but how you treat the bike in between those frequencies. Let's say you're a track guy, and you take it these 20-minute sessions, it's 100 degrees outside, and that bike is, hot. That oil gets hot. You'd probably recommend an oil change right after a track day. Dump the oil, put new oil in, even though there's only probably 30, 40 miles on that bike because of that track day. But because the oil's on such torture, basically, you want to make sure you clean it out because the oil life reduces the hotter it gets, right?
Correct. Also, if you're running other than traditional pump gas, the fuel that you run can contaminate the oil. I do mine after every weekend that I'm out on my track bike. I do an oil dump. Every other weekend, I do oil and filter. Multiple reasons, as you just mentioned, the temperature, the way that the bike's ridden, and then the fuel contamination.
Okay.
You can literally smell the fuel in the oil when you do the drain.
Yeah, I know when I've ran MR12, for example, and I've put maybe 10 miles on the bike, I dump the oil, I can smell the fuel in the oil. So they're 100% right on that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about denial or claims for denial versus void, and what could actually cause that? Could a slip-on exhaust cause that? Could changing the tire cause that? I mean, what do you guys look for as far as if there's some kind of failure with the bike and it's related to the part that's failed?
Okay, so typically, if a modification that you perform on the motorcycle causes the failure, warranty will not cover that.
If you can give me an example of something like that.
If you put an exhaust system on your bike and don't set the ECU to compensate for the changes, and the bike is running extremely lean and you burn up an exhaust valve, the exhaust caused the exhaust and lack of correction for that exhaust caused the failure, they're not going to pay that claim.
Which makes perfect sense, because you yourself have done something to the bike that BMW did not do, and you're saying, hey, I'd like it fixed now, BMW, and they're going, wait, hold on, you did this to yourself.
Correct. Correct. You put an aftermarket windshield on your bike and the water pump fails. Neither correlate, there's no issues. And typically there's two ways to void a warranty. One is for the vehicle to be involved in a total loss insurance claim. And that isn't always 100%. Usually that's the most common one that we see. The other one is to use it and register it for competitive events. Track days doesn't void your warranty. Racing it, collecting contingency, letting BMW know that you're racing it is going to be the other surefire way to void your warranty.
Okay.
I've got a vehicle back here in the shop right now that was modified. The modification caused the defect. BMW denied the claim, but they did not void the warranty on the vehicle because there's other items on the bike that are still covered. They're just not going to cover an engine because this guy made a modification.
And what's the majority of the denials that you see typically on these more high-performance motorcycles?
I have seen one major denial and a couple of smaller ones, and it's all because of modifications or lack of maintenance. I've got a different model back there that 18,000 miles on it and no service records from the run-in check at all. And BMW denied the claim. They did not void the warranty. They denied the claim to replace the engine on that bike due to lack of maintenance.
Okay.
So maintenance and modifications.
And I've also heard like extended rev limiter, things like that, like if they go well above the allotted rev limiter, like to see it's 16 or 15 or something like that, you know?
Repeatedly. You know, I think we've all missed a gear, caught a false neutral here and there if we ride our double R's aggressively. It happens. You know, to spike it here and there, it's going to happen. I think we're all realistic when it comes to that, but when it's a repeated situation, it's pretty obvious.
Now, if you can go over what the difference between a denial of a warranty is and a void of a warranty, and who can actually void your warranty? Can the dealership do that? Or
absolutely not. We as a dealer, BMW relies on us to provide them accurate information. I answer their questions. I document every case the way they need me to. I let them make the decision. BMW is the final say in whether or not a claim gets approved or denied. And they are the ones that void your warranty. I cannot go into the system and say, this customer, I don't like this guy, I'm going to void his warranty. I don't want to work with this guy or gal. I'm going to void their warranty. I do not have that ability. It is not the dealer's responsibility. As a dealer, I can say, I don't want to work on your motorcycle. I'm not going to process this claim for you. I'm not going to perform the work that you're asking me to do. That's within my rights. But in no way does that mean that I just voided your warranty.
Okay. Now, as far as if a customer has one dealer around and, you know, they're not the best dealers, put it that way. I'm not naming names. I'm just saying it could happen, you know?
Right.
And they're denying everything they do to the bike, even though there's a completely rational reason that they need it. What's the customer's option after that?
A different center.
So even if it's 20 hours away, a different center, they can't just go to BMW North America and be like, hey guys, this is...
BMW can't tell me I have to work on your motorcycle.
Okay.
It's not good business practice not to take care of your customers, but I cannot be forced to work on a vehicle that I do not feel comfortable working on. And I don't have to state why. All I have to do is say, sorry, but I don't want to take on this task.
So why does BMW update the software so much? You know, you go to like Kawasaki, you got one software version, and that's all you've got the entire time you've got this bike. They don't update it unless there's some kind of weird recall and they have to update it. So BMW, these updates once every month, maybe once every other month, maybe twice a month. Like, why so many from BMW?
I think that they have a lot more systems on their motorcycles than, you know, an R1 or a ZX10 has nowhere near the programming and the electronics that we have on our bikes.
And I can confirm that because BMW is closer to a car than any other motorcycle is. In fact, we're seeing a kind of a gap of maybe a 20-year difference between how advanced the cars are and where the motorcycles are, and it's catching up. And I mean, with the advancements of the wide bands, for example, you don't really see that on a lot of bikes, you know?
Right.
I've seen maybe one or two bikes and it's one-off deals. I mean, it's so advanced, the technology on here. I can see what you're saying. The TFT itself, it's so smooth. It's the smoothest in any bike I've ever seen, actually. It's so smooth. The ECU works well. Everything on the bike works pretty well, honestly. As
far as updates go, I'm not a proponent of every time you take it to a dealership, perform an upgrade.
Okay.
Or an update. I've had customers request updates on it, and it created an issue. You know, maybe they did an update for this system, but then they hit the wrong button on that one, and now your maps work better, but now your Bluetooth doesn't connect the way you thought it should.
So a strong proponent of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Correct. If there's a reason for the update, let's do it.
Yeah, like the ABS update we had back when the Haze switched over to the Nissan calipers.
Yeah, things like that, yeah, I'm all for. Doing it just to do it, probably not a good idea.
If a customer doesn't want their software updated, let's say they're flashed, like with BT or something like that, and they come in, they don't want the software updated, do they talk to the service manager first? Do they talk to the tech? Do they wrap something around the OBD cable that says, like, don't connect? Or what would you prefer them to do?
I've seen guys put a note on the connector not to do software updates, but typically, if a customer doesn't want an update, they'll tell us when they check in, whether it's the service advisor or whoever they check in with. Hey, I would prefer that you don't do any software updates.
And that doesn't create any issues with BMW if you say that.
I don't know why it would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just makes sense.
Yeah.
So. Let me see. Now, the consequences, I know you said like the high end is 1,000 miles, low end is 350 for that first service. What if someone just blows all through that? And let's just say they go to like 2,000, 3,000 miles. I forgot about it. I just kind of cruise the bike around. You know, here's the bike, here's the first service. Like, in that case, is that grounds for a warranty void?
It could be, yeah.
So if there's some kind of failure down the road, of course not that day, but down the road, if it's engine related, they may go, hey, guy, you kind of slept on your first service. So that's reason. So it's very good to go over to this. And that was surprising for me that you said, if a customer does have a GS911 tool, something you can get online for like $399, it includes 10 VIN numbers. So your bike is one of them, obviously. You can do a whole bunch of diagnostic resets, ADAPTs, and you can do service updates on your bike as well, along with taking that limiter off for that first service.
Right.
So if I was at 500 miles, I've done everything right, I take it off myself with that GS tool, and I've performed the first service with BMW OE parts, I notate it like you said, there's no reason for denial at that point, correct?
Correct. As long as you've done your end, BMW is going to do their end. There's no reason why you can't self-perform as long as you do what BMW recommends. Open up the owner's manual, scroll towards the back, and look at each mileage interval. It pretty much tells you need to go through A through D. This mileage, you go through A through Z.
Now, these guys have these bikes for tens of thousands of miles. I've seen RRs or S1000RRs at 50,000 plus miles.
Yeah.
And now, is there a service that you would say, no, that one needs to come in for that, you know, like valve adjustments or something?
Yeah, the intervals of 18K where it's fork oil, valve adjustments, spark plugs, all of that.
Okay.
Most enthusiasts don't see the issues day to day that we see at a dealership and see the failures and see the symptoms and signs of pending doom. Mm-hmm. Let us do the big ones so that we can look at it, especially if it's under warranty. Because if we can catch it before it's a huge thing, the downtime on your bike is a lot less than if you bring it in and now we've got to try and piece everything back together.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
So
I think that's all the questions I got for you, Jeff, honestly. You've been great, honestly. Thank you so much for
anytime.
asking any all the questions, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, guys, you heard from Jeff over there, and I'm gonna go ahead and check out my bike. It should be done by about now, and then we'll get back on the road. All right, the bike's all done. We're rolling her out right now. It's all updated. I'm gonna get her back in the truck, tie the thing down, get her back home so we can start ripping this thing apart. All right, so we just left Long Beach BMW Motorcycles. I'm on the way home. Great talking with Jeff over there. Great working with the people over at BMW Long Beach. We've gotten a few bikes from them and they've always been great to us. So no argument there, no problems there, just a great experience. And that stuff, I mean, geez, the GS911 stuff, I mean, I didn't even know that myself, that BMW was cool with doing that. So that's a great thing to know that BMW is okay as long as they see from the FASTA data, that's the data that the ECU stores, that you did it within the proper mileage and you're servicing the bike with obviously BMW recommended tools. It's good to know that they're okay with it. So that's awesome. People can unlock. We've had a lot of inquiries, I know, from people that live maybe hours from the dealer, maybe 6+ hours from the dealer, and they don't want to do that first trip to make that first service. Now you can just get a GS911 tool, do it at home, super easy to do. We offer those on our website, and it takes care of so many things. I always recommend everyone to have one of those because the throttle adapts, the throttle valve adapts, the twist grip, the knock sensors, you can reset all those adapts from that simple tool, and you can do your service reminders and everything like that from the tool too, as well as uncorking the bike. So it has a lot of good features to it. So I think it's going to wrap up the video for now. I'm going to take this bike home, and the next video is going to be me ripping this thing apart and throwing parts at it. We're going to do a good system on it, all of our intake stuff as far as our velocity stacks, the IET kit, the flapper kit. I'll kind of go through you guys on how to put the bike together, how to flash it, and then do E8500 as well. And then we'll take it to the dyno, and then we'll take it in the street and see what she does. So I'll see you guys in the next one.